what even brought you to Iowa? Like, had you ever been out east? Since you're from California, like, have you been to the East Coast or even this far east before?
So funny you say that. So I'm actually not from California. I went to
Okay.
high school in California. I grew up in Philadelphia.
Oh,
Um,
no way.
that's where I'm really from.
Okay.
So that's like, it's hard because all my wrestling stuff says California because that's where
Yeah.
I started wrestling in high school. So everything says California, California. There's no Pennsylvania attachment to my wrestling at all. Um, but but no, I always tell people I went to high school in California. I'm from
Mhm.
Philadelphia. Um,
Cool. Okay.
so yeah.
So, how did the Philly to Cali happen?
Does it happen? So yeah, my
Yeah.
parents are separated, and my mom got a job out in California, and it was just one of those things where growing up in Philadelphia, especially like in the city and everything, California was like this place that was only for the super super rich, and you really got to make it big to go to California.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at first, I didn't go. I stayed with my dad for a year, and then I thought about it when I was having this talk with people, and I was like, wait, I have an opportunity to do something that I may only dream of. I was like, yeah, let me check it out. Let me go. And so
Mhm.
I was like, hey mom, like I think I want to try living in Cali. Like I want to see what it's like. And it was crazy. It was night and day difference, you
Yeah.
know. In Philly, it's like, all right, be home before the street lights are on. But the street lights are on in Cali, and I'm talking about going, with my friends. Um, so it was definitely a change, but a necessary change.
Yeah. Did you make it out to nationals then, I assume, this past year
Yep,
to Philly?
yep, yep,
Nice. I
yep.
bet that was nice.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome to
Yeah.
see stuff like that. It was cool.
Yeah. Man, night and day difference, like you said, I can't even imagine. Was it somewhat of a culture shock?
I think it was a culture shock in the sense that there were things that I couldn't do in Philadelphia
Oh
that I
yeah.
could do out in California.
Mhm.
Uh, I mentioned like being out late at night, and in Philly, I always like traveled with people. Like in California, I could go for a walk, and it was also the big thing for me was the weather. I
Yeah.
got my friends putting on shorts in November, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Did you check the weather at all?" I go, "Nope, it's November. Like it's cold." He goes, "Dude, it's 74," and I go, "Se- Really?" So went outside. It was nice. It was nice.
Yeah. Did you get into like surfing at all or anything like that? Like where'd you live, I guess I should ask. San
So I
Mateo,
lived in
correct?
Yep, San Mateo. So I
Okay.
originally moved to Burlingame, which is like a small city right next to San Mateo, and
Okay.
then we moved to San Mateo. Um, you know, and I didn't get a lot into the surfing because, again, growing up, that wasn't like something that I did really. Like we'd go to the
Right.
beach,
Mhm.
put our feet in the water, but surfing wasn't. I never knew anybody to surf in like Atlantic City or anything. Um, you know, but when I came out, I also don't live like right on the water. There's a
Okay.
place called Half Moon Bay that's like 30 minutes from me. That's the beach where we would go and do bonfires and stuff. People surf out there, but I wasn't. I like being on land where my advantage
Yeah.
is. I don't
Yes.
really mess with the if something touches my leg, I'll never go to the beach again. So we're good. No, I'll trust. I'll watch. I'll watch. I'll
Yeah.
be right here.
Yeah. I hear there's a really good place in Half Moon Bay that has like a crab sandwich or something like that. It is like apparently so good.
There's a lot of places in Half Moon Bay that are like really, really good. So
Okay.
I'm not too sure. I didn't, whenever I went out to Half Moon Bay, I didn't do a lot of eating out there. It was mostly to go when we would do bonfires or stuff.
Okay.
Um, I had a friend who lived in this place called Pescadero. Beautiful city, beautiful city. I mean the view is insane.
Hmm.
Um, and then we have this thing called I think it's highway. It's either Highway Zero. I think it's Highway Zero, and it goes along the mountainside, and all to your right is just all. It's beautiful. Um, but out there, the halfway point, or I don't know, a partial way point is Half Moon Bay, and
Mm.
so, uh, but we would always go to the same place. It's weird because it's a gas station, but it's some of the best Mexican food, bar none, that I've had in my
Nice.
entire life. And I went to Mexico, and I can still say that. So like, it was
Hey, okay.
not much you can say about it. Can't take it away from him. So
Yeah. What's the highway that goes right along the coast?
I think
Um,
that's zero. I think that's Highway
that's
Zero.
zero? Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I've been out there a couple times. Sonoma is where I've been a couple of times. I'm going out there next month actually to Sonoma.
Yeah.
Uh, my wife likes wine, so I don't know.
Okay. Wine country. Wine
Yeah.
country.
So, um, well, it's interesting that you say that you didn't start wrestling till high school because you're from Pennsylvania, and that's like, I don't know, where everyone apparently wrestles. So,
Mhm.
what what made you kind of wait that long to wrestle?
So in PA, wrestling, the area I was in, Philadelphia, wrestling
Hmm.
wasn't that huge. You hear a lot about it like in Allentown or kind of where Spencer's from, like kind of like Franklin regional area.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is it's a big place in terms of like you can go from one city to another and it'll go from football dominant to wrestling and then you go to the next city and it's like everyone's a basketball star out there. So it's really
Really?
interesting. Um, but why I waited was growing up I was just kind of trying everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anyone that did that wrestled. Um, I was it's weird when I was in Philly, I was like a fan of so many different teams. Like I was a Clemson football fan, but I was like what I think I liked Creighton basketball for a little while. So I really
What?
liked like everyone. It was it was anything. Um, and so my dad coached volleyball. So the only time I really saw wrestling mats were rolled up in a corner and I just didn't know. I
Hmm.
would climb on them, but I didn't know, like what it was. Um, but yeah, it wasn't something that was really talked about in my area. Um, but when I moved to California, uh, my best friend, his name was Kyle Batello. He was like the first friend I made in California, and we're best friends to this day. He's a two-time D2 qualifier at SF State. He he wrestled growing up, and I would always see him at school, and I would always see him with his bag for practice afterwards. I
Hmm.
would always wonder, And funny enough, there was a teacher I used to get in trouble with all the time. His name was Andre Monet, and this is a funny story, so if you don't mind me telling. But so when I would always get in trouble, and the teachers would send me to Mr. Monet's. Well, the first time I got in trouble, he saw me and he was like, Did you get kicked out of class?" I was like, "No." It's like, "So what are you standing in the hallway for?" I was like, "I'm going to the bathroom." He goes, "So go to the bathroom." I was like, "No, I already went." And he goes, "All right, so go back inside." I was like, I can't." And so then he went in and he asked my teacher, and I got kicked out. So Mr. Monet did. He would do the discipline. He would discipline me like he'd make me set up his classroom for tests and stuff like that. Um, but when I got to high school, I was told I was too small to play football. That I wouldn't like. And my school's a big football school. Tom Brady, that's our Lynn Swan. Those are the two like biggest. David Bakhtiari, that guy too, came from my school. Um,
Not
and
bad.
so and so the football is like a high standard. And I'm fast, but I was small. So I was like, what could I do? What could I try? Uh, because there you either do a sport or you have to take PE. And I was like, I could do a sport and not, I have to take
Hmm.
gym class in the middle of the day. Um, but a couple of the wrestlers were just like, hey, come try wrestling. And I was like, all right, fine. So I go to the athlete night and I walk up to the table to get my sign up form. And I look up and it's Mr. Monet. I go, what are you doing? I go, what are you doing here? Mr. Monet, he's like, you go to Sarah? I go, yeah. What are you doing here? He goes, I'm the wrestling coach. I go, you're the wrestling coach? So now, after getting in trouble with this guy for the last 2 years, I go to a new high school, and now he's gonna be my wrestling coach. It was unbelievable. We were cool. We were friends after this, but like, it was weird. And he was telling me a funny story because he always saw me and Kyle like as friends because he worked at our middle school, and he was like, "Oh, I want to get." He's like, I thought about trying to get you to go like wrestle with Kyle and go to the club because his club, they worked out at my old high school. So me and Kyle would have been working out in that room. Um, but Mr. Monet went away for a year, and so because he didn't do it my seventh grade year, he was gone eighth grade. So I didn't start till high school. But yeah, that was like a really really roundabout way to get there. But yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
Did you ever like in that moment where you're like, no, I'm not doing this? Like, did you see him
No,
and go, nope, sorry?
no, I mean, I thought it was the best way to get back at him because one time when I got in trouble, I was like, nobody knows. They didn't call my mom, nothing. And then we had this event at my middle school and I had to check in and he was the one doing check-ins. I just ran away. But he told my mom that I was getting in trouble and she called me and I had to put all my stuff down and tell my friends. I was like, I gotta go, guys. I got in trouble. It's like, nah, I'm gonna do this. But him and I he's a cool guy. I was like
Yeah,
middle school, I was a bit of a goof off, you
sure.
know.
Yeah,
The standard in California school was definitely higher than, Philadelphia. Yeah.
yeah.
That's it.
That's a big move to make when you made that in seventh grade. You moved from Philly to California.
Yeah, I actually did a back and forth. I went for like the last 8 weeks of eighth or seventh grade, or not even eight, the last 4 weeks of seventh grade, moved back and then moved back for half of eighth grade. So I didn't do a full grade until my freshman year of high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, in the moment, like in hindsight, I mean, I'm just like, how did you make that work? I mean, that's just a lot on a 13-year-old kid, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those things where like, and this is people who like have separated parents will definitely understand, but
Hmm.
that whole back and forth isn't really something that's new to me. I think the hardest thing that I had to get used to was the 6 hour plane ride. Like that
Yeah.
was the biggest part. The back and forth, the whole back and forth thing wasn't anything crazy. It was a lot on me though because it's I went and then I kind of got established with friends, but it was hard because I never really got to hang out with a ton of my friends for the whole summer. So I was like,
Hmm.
all right, I gotta go spend summer with dad, you know. And I say gotta go, like I love my dad. I
Right,
get to
right.
spend summer with my dad, but that's what I tell my friends. I'm like, they're like, oh, let's do this. I'm like, oh no, I can't. I'm going to spend summer with my dad in Philadelphia. Um, and so that was the hardest part was with the back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in seventh and eighth grade. I never really got to establish a lot of friendships.
Hmm.
Um, I used to be like a ghost kid because I would be there and then, oh, Charlie, can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to be back. I can't wait to be back. Where are you? I'm in Philly. I started eighth grade and I'm back in classes again. So, but it was easy because it's something I was used to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, um, yeah, the reason why I was kind of wondering was because normally, not normally, but it wasn't like, oh, mom lives, like they live in the same town and you're just sort of like back and forth within the same community or
yeah,
even kind of the same state. I mean, this is cross country, you know.
yeah.
So that's what makes it a little more, unique, I guess. And like you said, trying to establish friendships, especially at that age, it can be important, but
Yeah,
now it's a little difficult. So
yeah.
I didn't know just if that was, an issue navigating that at times.
No, I think that I'm pretty good at making friends, I would say.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm a personable guy, but I would say that um, it was really the only difficult part was establishing friendships, but it also helped me filter like who was like my real friends because my real friends were like the people that would wait for me, and it wasn't weird when I got back after 4 months. We
True.
would pick up right where we left off, uh, but the people who were just kind of like you could tell there were people that just wanted to be around me because like, oh, he's the kid from Philadelphia, like he transferred here, and is this, what's this like in Philadelphia, and what's this? I heard this, and then I would answer the questions, and then I'd go and I'd come back like, hey guys, oh what's up, man? I'm like, all right, cool, see ya.
Hmm.
I'm going with my real friends. So yeah,
Dang, I didn't even think about that. Was that kind of frustrating or annoying? Like you being known as like the Philly kid, or like when you'd go back to like Philadelphia with your dad, that you were like being bombarded with, gosh, what's California like? You
yeah.
know?
I mean,
Ugh.
so in Philadelphia, I like I said, I was a bit of a knucklehead, so I went to a few schools. Went to a few schools.
Okay.
So friendships were not few and far in between, but more so it kind of comes down to that whole like knowing your real friends type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
the people like I could keep up with who made an effort to keep up with, um, and then uh, but then it wasn't really like that. It was like when I moved to California, the number one thing I got was like, "Whoa, can I touch your hair?" Because like when I
Whoa.
went, yeah. So that was the one thing that a lot of people don't expect, and I was at an age where I didn't understand. I just thought it was like, oh, like everyone to me, right? To me, everyone's different. Everyone's got different textures hair. Now, I'm not gonna ask you, can I touch your hair? You know,
Right.
but I was the only African American kid with both African American parents in my class. So that was a culture shock in and of itself because in Philly, everyone looks like me.
Right.
You might have one or two, Caucasian kids, but everyone this tight curly hair, that's everybody. Everyone's got it.
Hmm.
So that was like when I got there, I was like, I asked my mom too. I go, Mom, why does everyone want to touch my hair? She goes, What? And I go, Yeah, everyone has to touch my hair. She goes, Charles, don't let them do that. And I go, Why? I'm thinking these are just curious kids. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, that makes sense. Like
Hmm.
that you genuinely don't know.
Right.
Uh, but no, when I got back, the whole thing with asking questions, I was I wasn't naive, but I was just like I was a curious kid myself. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm curious about this just as much as you are. So I didn't mind the asking questions. Now, if it was like a question that was kind of out of pocket, like, oh, I
Yeah.
heard everybody in Philly they fight all the time, and people do this in the city. I'm like, all right, bro, like, calm down.
Hmm.
No, it's not all like that. Like there's other stuff. People are like, oh, like let's get a cheesesteak. There's a place out here that sells cheesesteaks. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna eat a cheesesteak out here. I refuse. I refuse. And you can't tell me I'm not gonna come from Philadelphia, get off a plane, and then go eat a cheesesteak at a chain restaurant in California just because you think it's good. I refuse. I refuse. Yeah,
Well, that answered my question. That was one I had.
the cheesesteak question.
Yeah.
That's always a question. Is the cheesesteak? That's always a question.
Um, what about like In and Out? Was that just
I,
like
you know, I think In and Out is the most mid place ever.
whoa.
You can, hey, that is a hill I will die on. There's a
Okay.
lot of hills I'll die on. But that one, I think In and Out is the most mid, like, you know what? If I want a good burger, I'm going to Five Guys. I will not go to In and Out.
Really? Five Nights.
People are like, oh, let's go to In and Out. I'm like, nah, bro, I'll eat at home. Like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
If I have to chew your French fries to get through them, I don't want it. I don't
Mhm.
want it. The
Hmm.
French fries taste like cardboard. The burgers are okay, but they grill the buns and it gives it the crispy edge, which is nice. But if they overdo it, like it's nothing like having burnt bread with your burger. It sucks. It sucks.
Wow. I'm processing that. I was not expecting that.
Nobody ever is. Nobody ever is.
Um, what about you talked about people wanting to touch your hair. Like, was it difficult to find somebody to cut your hair in California? Like, did it
No,
take a while to find a barber?
no. California is like a really big. California's I would say it's a melting pot, and that was a term
Okay.
that my mom used to me, like
Yeah.
explained to me, and I didn't know what she meant. But coming from Philadelphia, I never had a class where I had someone of Latin origin, a Caucasian kid, and a kid of Asian descent in the same class. I don't even think I had when it comes to my mind, I don't think I had any kids of like Asian descent in my classes in Philadelphia. I don't think I had one. Um, and so that was something that was not a culture shock to me because I knew people, but um in one class was like I was like, oh, like this is kind of cool, and I
Hmm.
got to learn a lot about different like cultural backgrounds and everything, and so you know any and I could spot like a good haircut. For a
Yeah.
while, I waited till I went back to Philadelphia to get my haircut,
Hmm.
uh, but once once my mom kind of got more into the community, and then once I got more into the community, I had like 3 or 4 barbers that I knew that I could go to. And
Nice.
these were like guys that, during COVID even, they'd be like, all right, pull up to this door. Don't knock, don't do anything. Just lift this and pull on the door. My mom would drop me off. I'd lift the pin, pull the door, and I'd walk inside and it'd be just him in a mask. He's like, all right, sit down, get my hair cut. So all right,
Nice.
cool, put the pin back. I'd go, put the pin back, and it just looked like a building. Just looked like a rundown building. So they and it was hard because it wasn't hard because there wasn't a lot. It was hard because it took a while to look for it, to find
Gotcha.
the right
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah. Um, so you started wrestling in high school. How did you get to where you are today? I know that's probably a loaded question, but like not a lot of people I have on here are like, yeah, I started wrestling in high school, let alone middle school. Most of the people are like, 5, 6, whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, um, this is a question that I get a lot because, and I always, when people ask me this question, I always like to ask them back, um, how do you think I did at state? Like you personally, how do you think I did at state?
Well, I know
You know the
you were,
answer,
yeah.
right? You know the answer. So when someone doesn't know that answer, they're like, oh, they're like, will you go to Iowa? Yeah. Oh, you're probably like a two-timer and a placer. I go, well, California's a hard state, so what do you think? Oh, well, you say that, two-time placer and a champ. I've never been to the state tournament. Never qualified. The closest I got was one place away. I took fourth in my section, and I took sixth in my section my senior year. But a lot goes into that because when you look at like who you're wrestling, I might have had a quote unquote slouch, maybe the first round. But after
Mhm.
that, in any tournament, you're gonna wrestle somebody who's pretty decent.
Right.
Uh, like I've wrestled like Nick Aguilar, his little brother. I've wrestled, and this is deep in tournaments on the backside. Nate Aguilar. I'm wrestling Nate Aguilar deep on the backside of a tournament. Like this isn't, this isn't
Mhm.
uh, anything crazy. But no, I think it's just really just a lot of work ethic,
Yeah.
and I would say a lot of it came down to leadership and just I'm really, for lack of better phrasing, I wouldn't say hard headed, but I'm gonna go until I figure it out, and I'm not afraid to ask questions if I don't get it.
Mhm.
Though I think it's funny because I grew up in Philadelphia, so once I started wrestling, you know, Lord forgive me, but obviously where did I turn? Penn State. So I always like watch Penn State wrestling. I and this is a funny story, but
Yeah.
I came for camp. I came for camp my junior to senior year, and I had on Penn State shorts because it was the only thing I had clean, and I didn't even know they were in my bag. And I was like, I need clean shorts. I look and I'm like, okay, I have these white shorts, and I put them on inside out, and I got in the van and I looked. I go, oh my god, what am I doing? And I'm warming up. We're warming up in the carver room, and this kid behind me goes, he's got on Penn State shorts. And I go, dude, what are you doing? And DeSanto was on the complete opposite side of the room. Like if we're running in like an oval, I can see him diagonally in my peripheral.
Mhm.
He's got on Penn State shorts. And I hear, what? And I'm like, huh? And I'm looking around. And I don't hear anything. Then I hear, and I go, what is going on? And I'm jogging. I turn. I look, and he's right here. He's hawking. He's bird dogging me back. He goes, take those off. I go, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I stopped running. I stopped running. I ran off to the side. I ripped them off. They gave me some shorts. I put them on and I threw them away. Um, but then after that, like I showed up for that camp. I did camp for a week. Um, just visited Iowa because I was here,
Mhm.
And funny enough, I did like a regular visit at Iowa State. I didn't know much about rivalries. My high school rivalries, our high school team wasn't the greatest. We weren't the greatest.
Mhm.
My freshman year and sophomore year, we had a really good team, and then junior and senior year, well, freshman year we had our best team. Sophomore year was the remnants of it, and then junior and senior year was kind of like we'll lose these first 3 matches, then Charles is gonna wrestle, Then we're gonna lose like, a couple more. Then my buddy's brother's gonna wrestle. We would win like maybe 4 to 5 matches a duel, maybe 3. Um, but guys were trying, and we had a really young team when I was heading out. We had an old team when I was coming in, and we had a young team going out. Uh, but um, I came to camp, left. Then I was like, I want to go back. Like I don't want to do anything else. I want to go back. So mom called up Telford, and I came back, did another week, and at the end of it, I'm about getting ready to leave, and Terry just comes up to me, and goes, "Hey, you want to go best 2 out of 3?" Now, mind you, I don't know who. I know very minimum of like who these guys are because I didn't know wrestling like that. If you had told me like, oh, this guy's an Olympic medalist, I'd have been like, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I'm like, who's like, you know, I never tell them this part of the story, but in my head, I'm thinking, I'm like, whose dad or like grandpa is this that's
Yes.
reliving their glory days? Like, I'm like, whose dad is this reliving their glory days? And so I'm like, sure, whatever. Shakes my hand. I'll never forget when he collar tied me. I go, oh man, this is tough. I was like, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad. And I shot a double leg, and I kind of got in on it deep. But I'm like, oh yeah, I got him. I got him good. No, no. He sprawled on me, ran his feet back, got off me. I was like, I'm gonna break my shoulder. Got it. And he got the takedown. And I tried again. I tried to get a single, and he got the takedown. He beat me best 2 out of 3, and I was like, damn, like I'm supposed to be leaving camp. This is sign out. I'm waiting for my parents to come. This is during sign outs. But he was like, yeah, like he's like, you got some fight, and then I think I spoke to Tom. I was asked for pictures, and they were like, yeah, we'll get you out here for a camp in like April. And I'm thinking April, my senior year, like that's dumb. I'm already gonna like have a college decision by then. I'm like, why? And then to this how out of touch I was with sports and everything. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
why would I go to a camp at a college in April? Can't imagine why I would come out here in April. Um, I was like, that's not even summertime. I called my dad. I'm like, hey dad, like, why would Tom tell me that I'm gonna come back out here for a camp in April? He told you that? It's like, yeah. He goes, all right, well, yeah, go. And I told my mom, she's like, April. But then Morningstar sent me a text. I can't remember when, but it was like I have it. I don't have my old phone with me, but it was along the lines of, hey, this is Coach Ryan Morningstar from the University of Iowa. You know, we're super interested in making you a Hawkeye. I thought it was a prank. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I got lightheaded. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. But again, with the whole taking a leap of faith, and you kind of asked me how I ended up at Iowa. So that's kind of like how the wrestling side of it happened. But COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to take a single collegiate visit.
Wow, bummer.
I didn't get to take a single collegiate visit. So this was like I was going solely off of camp and what I got to see on the academic side, which that's pretty much all you really need to see. Uh, but when I hear about people, oh, they did this on their visit, and then we got the guys that come for their visits, and I'm looking at how their visits are. I'm like, dang, like I missed out on my
Mm-hmm.
senior year of high school. I didn't get to take my visit. Then I missed my freshman year of college. Like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of how I ended up
Yeah.
out here. Yeah.
When did you start realizing? I guess let me ask you this first. Were you good at wrestling right away?
No,
No.
no. I wasn't good at wrestling right away at all. Uh, I actually almost like, I had that because I would consider myself athletic,
Yep.
but I just have to, if you could be athletic, you just gotta learn the sport.
Yep.
And so I'm used to being able to step into a sport and just kind of like go. Like baseball, I was able to step in and go.
Mm-hmm.
Football, able to step in and go. But then like wrestling, I lost, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Cool, I
Mm-hmm.
quit. I hate this. This sucks. I've been training for, and this again, the warped mentality. I was like, I've been training for a week and a half. Go to this first tournament. I just went 0-2. I don't want to do this anymore. You know. But it was my freshman year. I wasn't the greatest at all. I won't say I wasn't that good. But we had a kid break his finger at a duel at the end of the year. And they were like, Charles, like you're the 115 that's got to go in. And I was like, all right, like that's fine, like I'll do it. Why not? Right? And I was like, sure. Um, Made it to the league finals at my thing, and I beat the 1 seed. His name was Brent Flemmer. He's a dog. He's cool. Um, but I was known for I like, and this is like the gritty thing. I'm known for having really gritty matches, even when I don't have to. Like with Flemmer, it was like I went up maybe like 7-0 right away, won the match like 11-10, and I thought I lost. There, I have to find the video, but I'm literally sitting there. I'm like, dang it, dang it, dang it, and all my coaches are like, he won, he won, and I get up. I'm like, what? You won? I won, and that happened twice in that tournament. That first match and then the semis. I looked over at the scoreboard. I thought I had lost because he got an escape at the end. I look over and it's 9-8, and it's like 9 red, 8 green. And I look down at my ankle band, red. I go, I won. But yeah, no, it wasn't really until junior year that I thought I really saw like an improvement. I started wrestling at this club called Smash Gyms out in San Jose. And that was with a lot of the Evergreen Valley kids. That was like the team that was second to Gilroy. And Gilroy, they're just monsters up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started training with the Evergreen Valley kids, and I started traveling with them. I learned the importance of wrestling during the summer. That sophomore going into junior year, they would take me to all kinds of places and travel and wrestle. Uh, and so yeah, that was dope. It was like dope to travel with competitors, like people that I compete against, and make really good friends out of them. We just trained and we got way better. Like that's where I developed my double leg at. Coach Ray Jimenez, he was just like, dude, you're so explosive. Like, why don't you shoot a blast double? I was like, well, I mean, you know, I thought that if mine didn't look like Jordan Burroughs, I had to do something else. Like I thought that if it didn't look like this, I had to do something else. But after I did that, it was like once I did that summer, that was when I came back. I came close to play qualifying for state, but that was when I was just like I would go to tournaments and I was just it went from gritty matches to like, all right, I'm gonna go tackle this kid. I'm gonna go pin this kid. Like this is what I'm gonna do, and then I go out and do it. And that's kind of where I first learned to dominate. And I think the first time actually, like not first time, but I would say the one time I really got to dominate in high school was actually at the Iowa camps. I was wrestling a kid during one of our live goes, and I have it convinced in my head that maybe this is when the coaches are like, okay, kind of like this guy. But kid gets the first takedown in the go, and it was a hard spike to my back. I was like, ugh. And I get up, I get my escape, and then for the rest of the time, um, the kid couldn't touch me. I mean, I got maybe 20, 30, 40 different takedowns. Like I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like, I really ran the score up on him. And it got to the point where I would take him down. I'm holding him down. I'm like, hey, get up. Like, come on, get up. Like, get up, get up, get up. Like, wrestle me. You're fine. Like, come on. And he would like get up. He's like, and he put on, boom. And I get another takedown. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you've got more fight than this. Like, come on. Like, come on, come on. He'd get back up. Boom. Another takedown, another takedown. But yeah, that when I listened to what Tom and Terry said about dominating, I I kind of learned more about wrestling just from that phrase alone. I thought it was just like a war, like we're just like fighting, I guess, in a sense, like legally. But then I'm like, it doesn't have to be back and forth, back and forth. It doesn't have to be all right. I get a takedown, then you escape, then you get a takedown, and I escape, and then it's whoever gets the first take. I could just beat somebody. I could just beat somebody, and I don't have to go up 3-0 or 3-1 and then try to hold on to that for the rest of the match. I could really score some points. So that was, yeah. Sorry, that was a really long-winded answer.
No, you're good. How did you wind up at a camp in Iowa?
So I'd gone to Penn State camps a couple times, and I was traveling the country with a buddy of mine, and not traveling the country. We would go to like different off-season tournaments together.
Mhm.
We would just pack up bags, the two of us, and we were like, all right, let's go.
Just the
But
two of you? Like,
yeah,
were you like flying or driving or?
we would drive like the Fresno tournament. If I didn't, I would go with Smash, but like there would be, California tournaments like an hour away,
Mhm.
just like at a local high school freestyle tournament. And I'd be like, hey, did you see that on their website? Be like, yeah. Like, all right, you want to go? Yeah, sure, let's go. And we'd pack up a bag, hop in the car, and we'd go take care of business, come back home. But he was leaps and bounds better than me. And we had talked, and our moms had talked, and they were like, oh, you should go to Iowa camps. He goes all the time. I was like, all right, like, yeah, I'll check it out. Why not? Because every camp that I went to, like at Penn State camp, and this is no knock to how they run camps, but like I learned like a lot of different moves, a lot of different moves, a lot of different moves, and then we would wrestle live. But at Iowa, like we really hammered down the basics. Like I was like, I can learn a single leg and different ways to finish it, but my single leg was terrible because I didn't understand the basics of it. I
Mhm.
didn't break it down in the ways that Tom and Terry and you know I'm trying to think who showed single legs at the time, but how they would break it down. Um, and so that's kind of how I ended up at, because I was like, dude, your fundamentals are so good. Like, how do you get that way? And he's like, oh, I go to camp in Iowa. And then his mom spoke to my mom. It's like, how, she asked the same thing, like how, like when you look at the basis of wrestling, just like a sprawl, high crotch, single leg, bottom, top, like those five pieces, his were just solid from the base up. And it's like how do you develop like that? And it's like, okay, well, you went to Iowa camps. It's like, okay, I'm like, let's try it out. And so that's how I ended up out there.
Nice. Okay. How did you end up starting wrestling as a freshman and going to the University of Iowa by your senior year? I mean, that's like 3 years. Well,
Yeah,
4 years obviously when you graduate, but like, I mean, that's I don't know, that's something.
yeah, no, and I think that that's one of those questions where I never truly understand it because I can't get into Tom and Terry's heads. Um, and I'm not really a person that asks why when I'm given an opportunity.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, fair enough.
I a lot of people asked me like, why did they want you, like that type of thing. I was just like, why does it matter?
Right.
Um, but when yeah, I just think about my ability to develop. I think it's just I would say I'm very coachable.
Yeah.
Um,
There you
I think
go.
that's something that, if I get to toot my own horn about anything, I would like to say that I'm pretty coachable. That if and but it takes a lot. Like with Terry, I was trying to learn a gut wrench, and he was he was like showing me. He couldn't get through to me at all.
Hmm.
He's like, what aren't you getting? I was like, I don't know. Like, and then he stood there for a second and he thought about it. He goes, you're one of those smart guys. And I go, thanks. He goes, I gotta teach it. He's like, I gotta teach this to you differently. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, all right, now grab him. If you were to roll a log, this was his example. He goes, if you were to hug a log and roll it, how would you do it? I was like, I would do it this way. Hmm. He goes, that's the best gut you've done all practice. And he goes, okay, clearly I have to like, he's like, I have to show things to you differently, but it's easier to get them through to you. Um, so I mean, I would just say that if anything, I'm coachable.
Hmm.
I'm coachable.
If you were to roll a log, uh,
Yeah,
that's a first. Okay, I might have to try that out. Uh,
yeah,
some of the
definitely.
kids that we have some pretty ugly gut wrenches, so maybe I need to tell them to roll a log.
Yeah. Yeah.
When did Division One wrestling, or when did wrestling in general creep in that like I might do this at the next level, or I
Um,
can do this, or or there is even wrestling at the next level. Like there's a lot there for you.
oof. I mean, like I looked at Penn State and everything, and I would go to the Penn State camps, and like when you talk about the skill level, like when you talk about
Yeah.
different skill gaps, and this is when I learned kind of, I don't want to make anyone mad, that
Hmm.
there's like different states are definitely harder than other states.
Yep.
Like I could wrestle a kid from this
The tough
place
truth. Yep.
Yeah, I would wrestle a kid from this place, and I'm like, oh, like you're 2 times like state placer, like okay, like cool, like I guess. And I wrestle a kid who was a 1-time state qualifier, and I'm getting absolutely wrecked. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I thought that this was this, but when I truly understood that maybe I could do this at the next level, um, was hmm, I don't know. I think it was when I got my first like letter. It was ironically enough, it was from Luther Norse, um, up in Luther, Iowa. But
Really?
yeah, yeah. So Luther was the first school to ever uh, send me anything. Uh,
No kidding.
and the Luther Open was my first college tournament. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't know. It was like it was weird because I saw a lot of my friends going on to college and stuff like that. And like my buddy Kyle, he got his offer from SF State. And I was like, oh well, he's better than me. I thought like at the time, he's better than me. Um, but that's such a hard question. I've never thought about that. It was just one of those things where once I got interest from coaches, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like maybe I can do this. And
Mhm.
then um, I got your interest from Menlo, McKendree, um, Worcester Polytechnic, WPI. There was like once I started getting like a couple of letters, it didn't. At first, it was like, okay, this coach is talking to me because he knows me. But
Mhm.
then it was like, okay, like this is kind of dope. Um, and I was like, oh, this coach doesn't know me, but he's reaching out. So it was like probably the probably that senior year was when I started to be like, oh, okay, like I can actually do this,
Yeah.
to the next
Were
level.
Well, yeah, because I mean, were you even considering doing a sport or, wrestling, I guess, at the next level, or were you even just looking just to go to college
Um,
somewhere? I mean,
I had thought about it. It was like one of those things where, and I think so much about Buchanan when I have this question. But when he talks about like Tom and Terry helping you fall in love with the sport again, when I was my junior year, one of the 2 years I really fell out of it.
really.
I was like, no, like, and which is weird because you'd think after like, only 3 years, there's no way you could like get burnt out or like feel that way. But it got to the point where I wasn't loving it that much.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of underlying stuff to that. But I think that, um, you know what? No, no, I do know when I said that I was going to do it at the next level. Um, my grandfather, he's a huge supporter of me. If I wanted to go to a camp, no matter what, Pop made sure I could go. He made sure I could go. He was my number one fan. And when he passed away, it was tough because he never got to see me wrestle. Um, and so and it happened. He passed away on Friday or on a Thursday, and I was supposed to have my last practice and then drive up to Fresno, um, for folk style state. Um, and that was such a devastating blow to me. Like it hurt a lot, and that was like kind of the point that like broke me because like and I had a hard time with wrestling after that because like he was such a big fan of mine and I always wanted him to see me wrestle. And then when he passed, I was like, dang, like for a minute and this is like one of those things that was one of those skeletons in the closet a little bit. Like I felt like I failed in a way, like that he hadn't got to see me wrestle. Like it wasn't, that's not something that I could control or anything, but it was just like it was hard for me. Um, but when I thought about it, I remember I was crossing the street and I thought about it. My dad didn't want to tell me at first because he knew I was getting ready to compete. He was going to save it for after. But I saw something on social media about it, and I remember like it freaked me out because I saw it and like Instagram like automatically refreshed and then it went away and I was like what? No, like no way. It's like no way. I couldn't find the post and I just like I was standing there on the corner waiting for like my mom to come get me and I was like dad, like is this true? He was like I didn't want to tell you, like I wanted to hold it in, like yeah. And I just like I broke. I was like crap, dude, like there's no way. But I was like, you know what, like after I mourned it for a while, I was like, no, I want to go to practice. And I went because wrestling was like an escape for me. And I think that that's after I'd fallen out of it, I kind of got back into it when that happened. Um, and because that tournament, I lost in like the first round. I lost in the first round, and that was so tough for me. It was either first or second round I lost, and I was just like, it's like, dang, like grandpa passed away. I can't even crack like the front side. Like I'm used to like making it maybe like quarters, even semis, but I lost in the first round. And I remember calling like my grandma and talking to her about it, and I thought about it, and I was like, Pop wouldn't want me to just like quit. He wouldn't want me to just drop this now. Um, and so I wrestled back 9 matches,
Well,
8 or 9 matches. It was a big bracket,
hmm
um, and I took third. And
wow.
it was literally through that backside of the bracket with Coach Ray that I kind of fell in love with it because he was like, "Hey, just have fun." He's like, now your grandpa gets to watch forever. Like he's like, just go out there and put on a show. And when I thought about like, oh, my grandpa gets to watch forever, like I was like, that was kind of my motivation to keep going too. I was like, now I can show I can wrestle in front of him as much as I want now. Uh, and so yeah, that was that point where I was like, I want to keep going. Even if I don't get an opportunity, I want to keep going. I'll do whatever I have to do to keep going. And that was in matches when you're going into triple overtime with a kid 1-1 and
hmm
he gets an escape in 4 seconds. It's easy to just be like, well, what do I do? Picked bottom, got a reversal, and I was like, all right, well, like, everything in my mind was just like, do what you have to do, do what you have to do,
hmm
win what you have to win, just keep going, keep going, keep going, you know. And so that was kind of like my point where I was like, yeah, like, I want to keep going. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And then did you ever think about staying maybe like closer to home in California or Philadelphia or um,
No,
no?
no, I think, and again, it really comes down to my grandpa too. Like
Yeah.
I talked to him about wrestling Division One,
Yeah.
and I'm the first collegiate athlete in my family. So as much as he had no idea what that meant, he
hmm
was like, "Hey, whatever I have to do to help you do it, like I'm gonna do it." And it was, like I was going to like some science camp, and I didn't want to go. It was like I did not want to go. I wanted to go
hmm
wrestle, you know. And my grandpa, I told him because he would pick me up from camp. He's like, you look miserable. I was like, I want to wrestle. I don't want to do this. I want to wrestle. He's like, all right. It's like my dad was like, I spent the money on the camp already. My grandpa was like, don't worry about that. Get him packed up, send him to camp. And grandpa covered everything and made sure I went. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just one of those things. It's just one of those things that I just chalk up to life, really.
hmm
I just chalk it up to life.
Life and also maybe your heart, and the way that you could battle through adversity. Like I know um sometimes you feel maybe lucky at times, but I was talking to my brother the other day, because I had somebody else on, Sparty Chino, and he was talking about something, not a similar situation, but how luck kind of plays a role in things.
Hmm.
And we were just talking that like, yes, luck plays a role, but you also put yourself in the situation that if luck falls your way,
Hmm.
it's because you're there. Like if luck knocks at the door, you're there to answer it,
Right.
basically. you
Hmm.
know and so there's a lot there that um you were blessed to be put in front of you, but you also had to put in the work. Like you had to do ABC to get
Right.
to D. you know um so yeah, I don't know if you ever thought about that, about how you put yourself in situations to succeed. Yes, your family and everybody, like there was a big support system for you, but
Hmm.
you had to do the work. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. No, I get that for sure. I'm really big on even like kind of like you say like when you say like you have to be in the position to be lucky. I call that like making your luck.
Yeah, yeah.
If I'm gonna what was it? Someone asked me um if you had to flip a coin, if you had to flip a coin, heads would be $500,000, but tails, or it's like if you don't flip the coin, you get $1 million. But if you flip the coin and you get it right, you get $500 million. I was like, and they were like, well, just flip the coin. You didn't work for it. And I was like, well, how did I get here? How am I in the position to flip a coin? And we ended up getting in this whole like talk about how I was like, something I did at some point led up to me getting to this coin flip. So I worked hard to get here. I
Hmm.
was like, and it's like if I'm gonna work this hard to get here, like why not? Why not? You know, like,
So you'd
that.
you'd
Yeah.
flip the coin? Is that what you're
hmm
saying? Yeah,
hmm
you flip the coin.
I flip the coin.
Okay.
Flip the coin. If
Yeah,
the work
yeah.
leading up to it, like Tom and Terry say, you get what you earn. If the work leading up to flipping that coin, if I earn that 500 million, it's gonna land. It's gonna land. It's gonna land my way. You know, you get what
Gotcha.
you
Okay.
That's how I see it. If the work leading up to it was conducive with someone who deserved or $500 million, it's gonna land my way.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. And so, like you said, or like we've kind of been saying, the work you put in landed you here at the University of
Yeah,
Iowa. So, um, what are you majoring in? I guess not to
finance.
like change stuff. Oh, finance. Okay.
Yeah, finance.
Because I didn't know, because you said something about academics earlier
Mhm.
and what you saw online. I'm like, well, I wonder what he's majoring in and if that played a role. Did it play a role at all?
I knew that Tippy had a really good business college.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it was one of those things where, as much as I love wrestling, I wanted to graduate with a degree from a notable university,
Yeah.
and so getting to have both was really just it was awesome.
Yeah. Um, when was the first time? So you go into the room, your first day. Um, did you speak, you kind of were a little naive or you didn't know the sport as much, as probably some others. Did you know like who was in the room at the time? Did you know some of the guys like, wow, that guy's really good? Or were you just like, oh, hey, I'm Charles and you're Spencer Lee. Cool. Nice to meet you.
Um, I knew who Spencer was. I always laugh. The first time I met Spencer, I was like, "Hey, bro, I got a problem with you." He's like, "What?" And well, the first time I met Spencer, he comes up to me, shakes my hand, and he goes, "Hey, man, thanks for coming." He's like, "Cause now I'm no longer the shortest male athlete on campus." I go, "Dude, you're taller than me by half an inch. Are you serious? Are you kidding me right now?" But no, my senior year, beginning of the year, I tore my knee up bad. And I'm thinking, who do I
Really?
know that? Yeah, I was like, who do I know that has like a messed up knee? I'm like, oh, Spencer Lee. And so I messaged him on Instagram, and this is kind of like also the naive part of me not understanding how big like college athletics was. But I messaged him about his knee, and I never got a message back. But
Jerk.
I, yeah, I went up to him. I go, hey man, like, what's the big idea? And I was like, I tore my knee. He goes, yeah, he's like, I probably would have, I probably would have left you on red anyways. He's like, nah, I'm just kidding. And I go, you're not kidding, because you're gonna go look for that DM and you're gonna open it and not respond. But I continued to have beef with him because when I got here, I followed him on Instagram. Took me a year and a half to get a follow back from Spencer Lee. A year and a half.
Wow.
A year and a half. But I understood he was focused on, he was focusing, I'm not like I'm also not the big guy where I'm like, oh my god, that's so and so. Like I
Mhm.
gotta go take a picture, I gotta go ask him this, and I'm just like, oh, that's like it's a normal human being.
Right.
Um, but I also had like a relationship with the guys because I did camp for almost
Yeah.
half a month when I was there, so or for over half a month. So like I knew who the guys were. It was
Yeah.
weird when my camp counselors became my teammates, but you know, because I was like, dude, like 4 months ago, you were yelling at me, telling me to sprint upstairs. You were the boss of me, and now we're peers in the locker room.
Mhm.
Um, but no, I think that I knew who guys were because of
Okay.
everything, but I didn't know. I guess I didn't understand like the skill level to be Division 1 like college, and
Mhm.
and in my area too. We had like some kids who were really good, like Chase Aldate. He came from
Yeah.
my section in California. Nick Aguilar, he was in my section. Um, so, but that's like, not to knock these guys, but you know, Nick Aguilar went to Rutgers, ended up at Clackamas and then Menlo, and that's my dog. I love Nick. But then when I look at someone who was as dominant as Nick was in high school, and then I come to Iowa and I'm just like, what do you mean you teched him? Like, what are you talking about? I've never
Mm-hmm.
seen this guy lose a match. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And like my freshman class was, like Jesse Barr, Patrick Kennedy, Colin Shriver, and that was also my wake up call to how good some people can be. Because I was like, all right, well, like I wrestled Jesse, and it was like it was wrestling I'd never seen before. Jesse
Mm-hmm.
Barr has such a unique way of wrestling that it's like I don't even I don't think you could train somebody to for that style. You just have to have someone who's good at wrestling
Mm-hmm.
because he's something else. Same with Cullen. Like I have no stamina at all. Right? I I'm good for maybe 4 or 5 shots in a match, and after that we're really gonna see who's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you want to talk about someone with a motor? I mean, Cullen Shriver. I don't think he stops going forward. He doesn't stop going forward. Patrick hit puberty in like 5th grade. I don't know. He had a full beard, mustache, and everything coming into college. And I'm like, dude, like he's in a freshman class. He's not a transfer. Brettley Reyna too. He was my dog. Cullen's brother, Colby. That whole freshman class was like a wake up call.
Mm-hmm.
The people who were my peers in my incoming class, I was just like when people are like, oh, Jesse Ibarra, he's this, that, and the other, and I was like, all right, like
Mm-hmm.
who's number one? What what's what's this or what's that? Like what tournament is that? You won it 7 times? What is that? Oh, Tulsa? Never been to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Is that tournament hard? I asked someone if Tulsa was hard. That was when I had that's when someone was like, what are you talking? What? But if you want my real like intro to wrestling, it was when I went to Penn State camp, honestly. I was walking down, and all these kids are like, "Oh my God, there's RBY," because that was his freshman year when he came in with Teasdale. They're like, "Oh my God, that's RBY, that's RBY," and I go, RBY. I go, his parents named him an acronym. What the hell? No, no. I go, what's his real name? Roman. I go, Roman. That's a stupid name. Like as a joke. And I said that like jokingly walking past him. I go, Roman. That's a dumb name. Mind you, I didn't know who this guy was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking kids are like glorifying over some high schooler, and I'm thinking like, oh, he's just a freshman. Like he's just a freshman. He's young. And at that camp, we did this 1 hour grudge match, and I hit a kid with a head and arm. He landed on his head, concussion. So who's gonna be my partner? Well, who's
No.
walking around? Who's walking around
No.
out of anybody right now? RBY comes over. I go, you're Roman, right? And he goes, yeah. Shakes my hand, beats my butt for like an hour, beats the crap out of me for an hour, and I'm just like, oh my God, like this guy's good. This guy's kind of nasty, like And him and I, we maintained like a mutual friendship, and then
Mhm.
Jesse, Jesse grew up with him at Sunnyside High
Yeah,
School,
yeah.
so uh, that is always a funny story. I have so many stories from this, but there was a summer where I was sleeping, and I'm sleeping, and I feel like someone shaking my leg. It's like, hey, we gotta go. They gotta go. Like it's like they're here. I'm like, who? It's like all of our rivals. They're here. We gotta go. And I turned. I opened my eyes. It was Brody Teskey, David Carr, RBY, and Jesse. And I go, oh, I'm thinking I'm having a nightmare. And I'm like, oh. And they're like, what's up, man? And I was like, oh my God. Like I thought like I was getting ransacked. Uh, but nah, they're cool folks. But yeah, it was like learning all these people that people looked up to and who was like
Mhm.
really, really good. And I'm like, oh, that looks like a regular guy. Like,
Mhm.
okay. Like, oh, all right, cool. You
Yeah.
know. not used to having that kind of stuff around me, but you know.
I feel like they appreciate that a little bit to be treated just like a regular guy, as opposed to like RBY, oh my, like this
Yeah.
myth,
Yeah, like
almost.
with Spencer, I always do the same joke. Like we'll be somewhere and you could tell he appreciates just having the heat off of him, and I'll just go,
Mhm.
"Oh my God, is that Spencer Lee?" And
Yes.
and you should see how it happened. Like we were, ironically, he was just trying to sneak out of a camp. Like he came in and he did his thing. He was sneaking out, or he was heading out. He was going to work out, and it wasn't his day yet. And I yell, "Oh my God, is that Spencer Lee?" Not thinking that anyone could hear me or like I'm joking with him.
Right, right.
Tidal wave, kids just get up, start sprinting over. Dude had a line out the door, and I'm walking past him, and this is the end of the session, so we're leaving, and I'm walking past him. I go, "Bro, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I didn't think. But even downtown, like if we're walking, we'll go to get lunch or something.
Yeah.
When we walk past a group of people, I'll be like, "I can't believe I'm getting lunch with the Spencer Lee. Oh my God, Spencer, can I get a picture?" And he'll just grab me. He goes, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you." And he'll turn around and be like, "Hey," but I understand it because Spencer's for the people. He loves Iowa City. He loves the Iowa fans. But there's always that part of you that just wants to just grab lunch and just chill.
Mhm.
But I mean, you're Spencer Lee. You're not going to leave the house without you know you're an Olympic finalist. Like you're not going to leave the house without people noticing you.
Mhm. Well, let me ask you this about you though. See, because I feel like you're kind of a little famous. You are like the hype man or
Yeah,
something. I mean, you are like front and center in the duels, jumping up and down. Like you are like the ultimate super fan. So
yeah.
like when I started seeing them, like, who is this guy?
Hmm.
And so that's
Hmm.
when I kind of got introduced to Charles Matthews.
Hmm.
Um, do people ever do that to you, I guess, and be like, oh hey, that's
Yeah,
Charles Matthews.
yeah, yeah. No, I get it a lot, and it's funny. I kind of got this like this moniker of like the hype man, right?
Right.
And for a while, I didn't really like it. I didn't
Really?
like because in my mind, like I came here to wrestle, and I'm a wrestler
Right.
first. I'm a wrestler first, and but also in my mind, and people always ask me like why I do that, like why am I so obnoxious? And I'm just like, dude, if I'm not gonna be the guy out there, I'm gonna fully support the guy that's out there. I think about and this comes from being under Tom and Terry for years and years. But if this is trench warfare, do do I want to be the guy that says, "Hey, there's a grenade," or do I want to be the guy that throws a grenade back out, jumps on? Like I'm that's just the kind of guy that I am. Um, and you know, I'm always if I'm not the guy at the time, then I'm gonna support the guy. When Ironman was going, he needed a drill partner. I was there whenever they need it. You can call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever I'm doing, I'll put it down. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Um, it's one of those things where, but then I also didn't like it because I thought it was taking away from people knowing who I was. Like Charles Matthews, like I wrestle here, like that's my
Mhm.
thing. Because even Shane Sparks, like he didn't even know that I was on the team. Like he said on there's some broadcast something. Um, or he was either on the broadcast or he said to someone, he was like, they need to get that guy on the team. Like he lives and breathes all positions Iowa. And then later he's like, "Oh, that my apologies, that's Charles Matthews." And so when I think about people, and the people call me the hype man, sometimes I kind of think about like I had a hard time thinking like, is that all I came for?
Right.
Is that? But then I also think about it, and this came from me talking to Tom too, but I was like, you know what? No matter what people remember me as, like you can't take away the experiences that I've had here. I've gotten to wrestle in the black and gold. Like that's not, that's something that kids only dream of. And
Yeah.
that wasn't even that's weird for me to say because that wasn't even something that I dreamed of, wrestling. Like
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I just want to wrestle at college. Like, and then to think I end up here. But, and I always say we got some good wrestlers and good wrestling excites me. Good wrestling excites me. I love the sport. So, but yeah, no, I get that a lot. I get that a lot. I have a hard time when people are like, when people call everyone by their name, like, oh, that's Teamer, that's so and so, that's so and so. Oh, and then there's a hype man. I'm just like, yeah, my name's Charles Matthews, like,
Hmm.
you know. But I also understand that, sometimes they don't always see that, and you know what, uh, I also don't like when people are bitter when they're not the guy going, and that's not me saying that you should be okay with not being the guy. Work your butt off, be the guy, go out there and earn it, work hard for it. But if I'm not the guy that day, I'm not the guy. I can be upset about it. I can, feel some type of way about it. You hear about kids at other schools and they'll pan to them on the bench and they'll be like, that's the person who they thought was starting, and they'll just be sitting there like this, not
Hmm.
even watching. And I'm like, dude, that's your teammate. That's your brother. At the end of the day, you know what? I want my brother to go out there and I want him to put on a show because I would want that same type of support behind me when I'm wrestling, you know. And I see it. And I see it. You see the when I get opportunities and when I go and I'm winning, guys are backing me 100%, you know. And there's a lot of hate that comes with that hype man thing too. There's a lot of hate. A lot of people see the nice, oh, like the recognition. The hate is just unbelievable. The hate is
Really?
oh yeah. Oh
Especially
yeah.
probably being in Iowa too.
Yeah. That was something that was definitely interesting for me was, Tom and Terry explained it to me. They're like, hey, if you come here, just know you're gonna have a target on your back. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, like one or two people aren't gonna like me. I just didn't think that people would hate me like personally, who've never met me, like hate
Right.
me to my core, who've never met me, have never sat in the same room as me, just despise everything about me. And I'm just like, yo, like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
what do you? And it's weird when it comes from people who, you know, not to talk down on anybody, but it's just like, bro, you're 45.
Right.
Go spend time with your kid. Go spend time with your family. Go do something. Go walk your dog. Like, what are you're hating on a college student who's excited about wrestling. You call
Yeah.
yourself a fan of the sport? Like, you can't say you're a fan of the sport and see someone who likes good wrestling and just get on them for it. It's like, and some of the DMs that I got, man, you want to talk about like, and when I first got on there, um, Tom grabbed me. He goes, "Hey, like you should get off social media for a little while." I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "Whatever. Like, what's the worst that can happen?" Oh, they posted a clip of me or whatever. It was the Penn State duel, and it was a clip that when Marinelli beat it wasn't Bergie.
And
He
was it
beat some.
Joseph?
No, it was when we needed a major and Marinelli got it. Um, it was well whenever it was they
Yeah.
posted a clip of me getting super excited and like the comments were insane. The comments were insane to the point where Big Ten had to filter like the comments after a while. And
Wow.
then the DMs were like bad. Like to the point of like people are like you should off yourself. And I'm just like I'm reading this and I'm like over wrestling? Like is this serious?
Wow.
Like, is this a prank? You know? But um yeah, there was a time where I like struggled with the whole hype man thing, but now I just never wanted it to take away from my wrestling, but through
Hmm.
my faith and everything, I don't put my identity in sport anymore. Um, that was a big thing of coming here too, is like reconnecting with my faith and that becoming the center of my life, and not having my identity in sport. So that's when I kind of was just like, yeah, I'm the hype man. Yeah, that's me.
Hmm.
But sometimes they're fake. If I'm having a bad day, they'll be like, oh, it's the hype man. I'll be like, yeah, I'm Charles Matthews. Like, I just kind of refer it. But most of the time, if it's like a kid, I'll just be like, oh yeah, man, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, let me ask you about the time that you not actually the time that you have worn the black and gold.
yeah,
You wrestled against Buffalo and Chattanooga. What
yep.
was that moment like to get your name called, put on the singlet? I know you wore the Iowa singlet,
Hmm.
other tournaments and stuff, but like to get your name called for a duel
Hmm.
and run out there and be the guy. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
what was
mean,
that like?
the Buffalo one was interesting because, me and Aiden Harris have been vying for the spot
Yep.
at the year, and it was one of those things where I went and I was like, am I going? Am I going? I'm not too sure. Like, I'm not too sure. And this was before I kind of, because when you're, and this kind of speaks to how my mentality has evolved. But when I was there, I was like, dude, I'm behind Spencer Lee. I'm not touching the mat for another like however long.
Yeah.
Um, and we went on that trip, and Terry was like, who's going? And it was Harris's choice. And he's like, who's going? And Harris like kind of like stuttered a little bit, and I was just like, I'm going. And he's like, all right, you're going. Um, and it's a hard time when the two times that I did get to go, like I didn't have the result that I wanted, obviously. And the Chattanooga one burns a little bit more because that's a 1-0 match. Like, you shouldn't have a 1-0 match in college, I don't think. And it wasn't a 1-0 dominant match either. Like, I needed to make more opportunities to score. Um, but I think that it was different for sure. It's a whole different feeling. Um, Granted, I bet it's even crazier, being the guy like at Carver. I've only gotten to wrestle away. Um,
Hmm.
and I think that was the other part of it, was that like I felt so good, and I had wrestled in Scuffle before. So the Chattanooga gym wasn't new to me,
Hmm.
but it wasn't new to me in like bad ways. Like I'd never wrestled good at Scuffle.
Hmm.
Um, but that match, I think that I got the jitters a little bit. I got the nerves, and the
Yeah.
nerves kind of got ahead of me a little bit, but like I felt good leading up to the match. And like the coaches are really good at getting you ready to go. Um and um but it's surreal. Like, because when I came out of high school, people, I will say I was probably the number one least believed recruit out of anyone. Because like when I posted my commitment post, wasn't in April. And it might have been April, but it was like April 18th.
Hmm.
And people are messaging me, oh, is this like a joke? Is this a prank? Like, people didn't believe me. Like, you're not actually going to Iowa. I said like I wanted to be a Hawkeye, and someone said, oh, are you going to like the Hawkeye Community College, like that kind of thing? And I'm just
Yeah.
like, dude, like what? Um, and a lot of people said like, hey, you're gonna go there, like just be ready to just be a practice partner. Like, you know, if you want to wrestle in college, try it there for a year, then transfer. Um, and so getting to wear that was just kind of like, you know, it's one of those things where I think in the moment I let too much of the I did what people said I wouldn't do get in the
Hmm.
way of me focusing on, hey, I gotta go out there and do this first and then focus on that. Um, but that was like a culmination for me of like everything that I've done, all the times that I told people like, nah, like I'm gonna do this, like I'm really gonna do this. It kind of surmounted there. So it means a little bit more to me than just being the guy. Um, but did I get the results that I wanted? No. And is that something that like sticks with me? Yeah. That's like I think the hardest part of leaving the sport is that now I won't get a chance to right that wrong. Um, but now I get to go and teach kids to put people in opportunities where, they won't make the same mistakes that I did. And I think that's what excites me about coaching
Hmm.
is that I get to put someone in a position to excel and do better than me. Um, so yeah, yeah. What does it mean? What did it mean? What did it feel like? It felt like I was on top of the world, even just for the moment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Did you has your thought about, being in that room evolved? And what I mean by that is, do you understand the importance of your role and what it's meant on the team?
Yeah,
Like, people say, yeah, you're just gonna be a practice partner. Like, I don't think people really understand what goes into that and how important that is. I mean, you said earlier, man, if Ironman wanted to text me at 3 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd be there. Like, there's so much value in what somebody like you brings that when people say like you're just a practice partner, like it's almost like they don't know what they're talking about.
yeah,
Have you thought about that or?
yeah. And that was another thing. Like apart with the hype man thing, that was something that was hard to get used to. But then I also think about when I think about it, and this isn't a moral victory in any means, but you think about how many people who have come here or go to like a university and become like, even if they're not expected to be a practice partner going in, end up kind of in that role. Um, you know, when I think about it, and the coaches say that like I have a really good feel for the sport, and when I look at things, I would say like I have such an analytical mind that when I look at something, it makes sense to me.
Hmm.
Even if now if you teach me something, maybe you'll have to teach it to me a different way,
Yeah.
kind of like Terry did. But there was a match we were getting Ironman ready for, and um, they explained something to me. They were like, "Hey, this kid does this. Um, Ironman needs that feel. Can you kind of simulate that?" And I did it, as far as I'm aware, perfectly. And Ironman went out for that match. The kid did it, and just like we had practiced in the room, like clockwork, Ironman countered it perfectly, just how we worked on it. And I'll try to find the clip, but he does it, and Terry turns around, he looks at me, and he points at me, and I point back at him. I was like, "Yeah, we did that. Yeah, we got that down." Um,
Hmm.
but the importance of that, I mean, yeah, I think I think more of like it's like kind of being like a combat medic in a sense. Like when I think about like a lot of war analogies, because
Yeah.
you hear a lot of stories, from Tom and Terry, and I definitely started watching a lot more war movies and when I got here, you know. But when I think about it, it's like there's not a lot of glory in the role,
Yeah.
but when I think about what it takes to do what the guy who's up is doing, and when I was in that position, like having a reliable drill partner for like the feel that I needed, it wasn't until I became like I was the guy that at those times that I realized, like, I was like, oh yeah, like I do need somebody with a different feel. I do need somebody that knows how to wrestle soft or knows how to wrestle hard or gives me this feel. And so when I think about that, like I know it's important because how hard the job is when you're going, and I also know that having someone that's reliable and not bitter, it can be difficult. I think that we live in a world where a lot of people have a lot of ego.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people have really big egos, and might feel above it. And I mean, you look at like someone like Angelo Ferrari, like he's not starting right now, even though he got his 5 matches in. He wasn't gonna be the guy going to the national tournament. Still showed up to practice, still put in work, still gave it his all. Guy still grinding. So, Kel Voinovich, same thing. Kid's still going. He's still going. Even Miguel Estrada, he didn't know that he was gonna go for that stint. But when he wasn't sure if he was going or not, it wasn't like he didn't show up. He was still there. So like, do I get the importance? Yeah, but sometimes you don't. I think the people who don't get the importance are the people who kind of never like didn't wrestle, I guess, in a sense. Like some people are like, oh, you're just a practice partner. It's like, okay, like have you gotten ready for a match before? Like have you done it on your own by yourself with nobody to wrestle with? Like,
Hmm.
and I think that I also feel that importance when you're requested, especially by somebody like Ironman would be like, hey,
Yeah.
like, we're traveling, like I want Charles Matthews to come with me. I was like, all right, like cool. Yeah, I'm there. Suitcase, everything, always there. Um, yeah, reliability I think is important. And so when I see that, when I think about it, and I'm like, and people are like, you're just a drill partner. I go, no, I'm reliable. Like you can count on me to be there when you
Hmm.
need it. And I'll be there with my best. I'm not gonna give you half. So yeah.
Yeah, that says a lot. Reliability, and like you said, coachable,
Hmm.
and then your positive attitude. I mean, when you have a room full of guys like Iowa, and Ironman specifically calls you out and wants you to be his partner or show you, practice and prepare him for a match. I mean, wow. Like
Yeah.
he could choose. There's so many guys that have all these accolades and whatever, you know. I mean, for him to say you and I'm sure maybe it's trickled down to other guys that have specifically sought out you? I mean, I don't know. I mean, is there a higher honor than that? I mean,
Yeah,
wow.
that's one of those things. Like when I think about it, yeah, like like and I feel the same like when I look at like Jesse, he'll wrestle, he'll wrestle with guys too. People be like, hey, like, no, I want Ibarra specifically. And
Yeah.
and when I wrestle with Jesse, like I understand it. Cause like when I get ready for tournaments, that's the kind of the guy that I'm like, if he's not going to the tournament, I'll be like, hey Jesse, can you like it's like can we drill spar? Can we do this? Can we work on this position? And he's really good at he's someone who understands the sport like very well, like almost down to like the atoms of it. Like he explained one thing to me, and he was like, "Do you know that you do this?" And I go, "No." He's like, he said to me, and I quote, "This is his words. His words." He says, "I feel it in my fingertips when you're about to go." I go, "What? What are you talking about?" But
Wow.
that's the type of you know that's the type of guy that you want in your corner, no matter what, whether he's going or you're going or whatever. I mean, talk about you talk about guys that are freaking may not be the first guy up right away, but Jesse Barr is like he's one of those guys that and you see it when he's called up, guy handles business. That's
Hmm.
really what it comes down to. But no, being the guy that someone requests, especially someone like Ironman, is like you know it's it's there. Like
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Before I let you go, there was a couple questions, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah,
Um, how many times have you taken down Spencer Lee?
zero. I've gotten deep on a double leg. I've only wrestled him twice. I've gotten in
Oh,
deep on a
really?
double.
Was he doesn't want any piece of you or what?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know. We
Lee.
might have to do another HWC event to find out. Forget. Oh no, I'll headline it. It'll be me. It'll be me. Uh, no, I've gotten in deep on a double leg once, but I didn't finish the takedown. I was dog tired. But to be fair, Spencer was it was a group of four of us. It was me, Spencer, Harris, and Jesse, and we were just going on Spence. Um, and it was whoever got the takedown stayed in, so we were all going in on Spence. Yeah. So none. So none.
Yeah. Was there somebody you took down that like really elevated your confidence? Like, that you weren't really expecting to, but you took him down and you're like, that's what's up. There it is, you know?
There's a few. There's a few. Um, so I'll say the biggest one for me that was like real like confidence boosting was the first time that I took down Ironman in a go. It's kind of the same with Jesse too. There was people talk about, jumping in a room like that and like, some guys don't get their first takedown till like December and stuff like that. So like
Yeah, right.
kind of having that internal battle. But like, you know, taking down like, you know, Jesse was the guy that I had a hard time with for a long time because I'd never seen wrestling like that. But
Yeah.
that confidence boost, like I took down Ironman for the first time. Um, the real one was freestyle. I double legged Murin. That was like a big one for me. And I was like, oh, like okay, like my double leg works at this level. And
Yeah.
now that's not to take away from Murin. Murin was whooping me pretty bad, but Terry was like, hey, why don't you just go out there and like just sting him, like surprise him. It's like use that speed, use that motion, and go. And I was just like, all right, Murin's strong. And I don't know why I was trying to hand fight with him. I should have just been wrestling from space the whole time. And I just like I swatted away and I went for a double leg and I hit it. Um, but the biggest one I think we uh we were doing King of the Mat and
There we
and
go.
I lat dropped Alex Marinelli. So that was like
Oh, no way.
yeah he shot in on a double and I was just like I literally used every ounce of my body. Like I felt like I was gonna pass out by the time I finished defending it, but I defended, I stopped it, I got all the way up, and I launched him. And the lat drop's been that's like my back pocket move that I'm known for.
Hmm.
Where and Jesse will tell you we always joke about it, but I'm like he's like no matter what, no matter how good I am, he's like I won't go over unders with you. I won't go upper body with you. And I have a I don't have it actually written down. I should, but I have a lat drop list that I keep track of in my head. And everyone in the room has gotten one. Everyone that I've gotten a chance to throw it on has caught one. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, I mean, you're still really freaking good at wrestling. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
That's the hard
Like
thing. The
let's
hard
not
thing.
take that away from you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. No, I think that was the other hard thing is like when I sometimes and this was like kind of when I kind of realized it like when I went to some opens, but like I'm getting my butt whooped in this room, maybe getting like 2 to 3 takedowns, and then I go to a tournament and I'm like attacking guys, pinning guys, and I'm just
Yeah.
like okay, I'm like oh wait, okay wait, I'm not bad.
Yeah. Right.
Just I'm wrestling when I think about it too, I was behind a national finalist every single year here. I came in, I'm behind Spencer, who's more than a national finalist.
Yeah.
And then I go up in weight, Real Woods comes in, and I'm like, dang, all right. And I go back down, and then Drake bumps up, then behind Drake, and I'm just like, man, like, like,
True.
dang.
Yeah.
But but when you think about it, like, I'm not bad at wrestling. Like, I
No.
wouldn't say I'm bad.
No.
Compared to some guys, I might be. When if you're wrestling Drake all week and then you wrestle me, you're gonna be like, this guy sucks. But like, you know, that's a that's what and I think that when these guys are really good, like, Spencer Lee's wrestled like Ray Gucci, he's wrestled across the world. In his eyes, I'm sure I suck. I'm sure to Spencer Lee, I look like a middle schooler who just got their first pair of wrestling shoes, you
Mhm.
know. Um, but he won't talk to you that way. I'm sure to Spence, to DeSanto, guys like that, like, not good at wrestling. But but they're so positive and they're so leadership focused that they won't be that guy to you. They'll be like, hey, you're strong. Hey, you're good in that upper body. When I first started learning my body lock, like I hit a body lock on Ironman 3 times in a row. Terry used to make us go. There was Thursdays during the summer. Terry would make me and Ironman go first to 150 points.
Wow.
I would score like the first like 18, and then that was it. That was it. And Terry would be like, "Go back to your body lock." I go, "I can only body lock him, but so many times. I'm, I'm running out of strength. I'm running out of breath." Um, but yeah, I mean, they'll work on your strengths. They'll work on you, get you better at what you're good at. They don't put you down. Nobody puts anyone down here. You know,
Yeah.
guys being guys will joke around, and be like, "Man, you suck." But like I'll say that to Spencer Lee. Like I'll be like Spencer will be walking out of the locker room, and be like, "Yeah, Spence, keep walking that way. You don't want none." And I'll just keep walking. He'll be like, "What'd you say?" I'm like, "Huh? Hey, bro, why'd you say that about my dog Spence over there? You need to stop, man." But no, it's never. We don't put each other down. We're all about building each other up. Yeah.
Well, that kind of leads me into my last question here. Do you kind of talk smack about, yeah, maybe you haven't been to state, Charles, yourself, but California is so freaking tough. Like, hey, Spencer, you probably only would have won 2 state titles in California. Or, Drake, you probably wouldn't have won a state title because California is tougher than all your other states that have multiple state champions and multiple levels. There's only one class in California. You ever talk smack like that to them?
No, I think we
No?
have like
Okay.
this big thing on like no moral victories, but like honestly I think that I think Spencer would have been just fine in California. Um, I mean, not to talk bad on anybody, but you look at Justin Mejia, he came out of California as a 4-time state champ. He wrestled DeSanto at that classic. I mean, we saw the match. Like it's not it's hard to say
Yeah.
like, do I think like there are certain people for sure I don't think they'd have been 4-timers, but but like there are guys who like I think they would have been just fine. I think they would have been just fine
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Sparks, he's from Michigan or Minnesota. No, yeah, Minnesota. He started in high school too. He ended up being a state champion. Um, so, you know, but that tells you kind of like about how tough, Miguel Estrada is. Not a lot of people do a lot of background checking into him. He's a 3-time California state champ. He's coming in as a freshman. People are like, oh, he's just a freshman. I get it. I'm like, yeah, but like he's like
Mm-hmm.
3-timer out of Cali, and he's the kid who he was wrestling, Laird Root. He's at Cal Poly, I think. Um, and I don't know if you've ever seen Miguel Estrada, but you
Yep.
want to talk to somebody, dude's yoked up,
Yeah,
dude.
I know.
It's kind of scary because he's the most like unassuming person ever. Like he's always got a straight face on. He looks all like quiet. And then like if you saw him like in a cold tub, like neck up, hey Miguel, hey man, and he'll get out. I'm like, damn, where'd you get all that from? But yeah, he's a cool guy. All the guys are cool. I love this team. You want to talk about a family, dude? Like I wouldn't. People ask me like, oh, would you go here if it meant you got to wrestle more? I'm like, no, no way. I know guys start on teams and they're like, I'm here because I start. I'm here because they're paying me. I'm here 'cause for this, that, and the other. But you want to go to IO room, freaking we love one another. We got love for each other, and that's just how it is. We'll go to war for each of our guys at any given time. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for the world.
The last thing I wanted to say was, have you thought about what your personality has brought to the team? I feel like every team needs somebody like you on it. Somebody that brings some energy, some positivity, somebody that also brings a lightheartedness that makes it sort of, that makes wrestling fun. Wrestling's so intense all the time. And at times we need to have that person that if we go out to eat to lunch with, that we can just relax and they can make us laugh or whatever. Like you seem like that type of guy that people want to like, hey, do you want to go somewhere? Yeah, let's invite Charles, like you seem like that guy that just lightens the mood and just makes people just relax for a little bit in such an intense sport. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think when I think about what my personality has brought to the team, I think it's some clarity and clarity
Okay.
in the sense that I think that when people think about getting ready for a match, getting ready to wrestle, getting ready for something, it's like, all right, I got to shut down this part of my life, this part of my life, this part of my life, and build a square around me, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm like, and another guy who's like me is Tony Cassiope. That guy, you want to talk about a dominant force that was the most fun,
Hmm.
to be around. And I just think that I brought to the team kind of like I'm reliable for everything. You need something to laugh about, like I'm reliable. You need, a joke partner, I'm reliable. Um, but yeah, what did my personality bring? Clarity, and I think like you said, like lightheartedness, but within reason. I'm
Yeah,
not
for sure. For sure.
making jokes when guys need to be get ready for matches, but like Gabe Arnold before his matches, I would go back there and him and I would pray together right before his match, like that kind of stuff. It's just like, just um just bring it. I think I bring a little bit of everything. I
Yeah.
think that it's okay to be yourself. Like it's okay to be whatever. People may see you a certain way, but like to me, like I'm gonna be who I am. I'm not gonna let someone take that from me. You can't change me just because you don't like the way that I am. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hate to say it. I hate to say it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a genuineness, that, and I think there's
That's
a,
genuine. That's what I was trying to
yeah,
think of. I couldn't think of that. I couldn't think of
yeah.
that.
There's a, yeah, genuineness about you. And then also, um, now I can't think of the word, but there's a part of you that knows the situation and knows what it calls for, essentially. Like you're saying, okay, yeah, I'm right now, I need to be a little serious. Here's when I can be kind of funny and lighthearted. Here's where I
Mhm.
need to be for my guy and pray for him. Like there's just an awareness. That's the word I'm looking for. That you have that you knows what the situation calls for, and that's what you're gonna provide, and it's gonna be genuine at the same time. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Like I don't do things half-hearted.
Right.
People think like when you think about like a drill partner, like someone referred to me like as a yes man one time. Someone was like, "Oh, there's Tom and Terry's yes man" or something like that. I was
Ooh.
like, dude, I don't think you really. I don't. And at the time, I came out of myself a little bit, but I was like, have you ever had someone like genuinely care about you? And the guy kind of looked at me, and I was like, dude, like these are my brothers. Like if I care about someone legitimately, if they need something, I'm gonna help them out with it.
Right.
If if Gabe is at the mat and he doesn't have his water, I would consider myself a bad, not only teammate, but bad brother if I don't go get him so that a coach doesn't have to leave or he doesn't need to focus on that right now. He's got something to do. He's about to go out there and compete. If I if I don't like to me, I think it's weird if I'm willing and able, if I'm able to do something and help somebody out, I'm gonna do that. And
Hmm.
it's gonna mean something to me. If it didn't mean anything to me, I would just stand there and be like, "Oh, you don't have your water? Hey, can you go grab me my water?"
Yeah.
Like that doesn't to me. That's a sign of a bad leader too. Is pawning off responsibility. Um, and I think that's also like Tom and Terry say that I'm a good leader and that I'm a good teammate. Um, and it's because I hold myself accountable when it comes to things. Like the whole if you want something done right, do it yourself. I wouldn't want somebody to go back there, grab a wrong water, go back there, get distracted. Now Gabe's got no water.
Hmm.
You know, but like, yeah, that's just being genuine. It's just being genuine. It's not being a yes man if you're doing it out of the genuine love for somebody, you
Right.
know, or genuine brotherly love for somebody.
Yeah. No, I feel that because like I was a volunteer coach here this past year at a high school. And when people they would take off their, they're getting ready. They'll take off their shorts and their shirt and they'll kind of look where to put it. I'm like, just give them to me.
Yeah.
Just give me the, I'll have them. I'll grab your uniform, kind of stuff like that. And that, yeah, that could be something where it's like you pass it off to someone, here, hold this, you
Hmm.
know. But I took it upon myself to just be like, here, just give me that. I'll hold on to it. Don't worry about it, you know. So when you're sitting here saying that, I'm like, yeah, that would be me. Hey, you need water? Hey, I got it. Or like I'll even bring the water and just have it ready just in
Hmm.
case. Just in case there's blood time. Be like, oh hey, we need some water right here. Got you. So it's funny that you kind of talk about that. I mean, kind of insulting that someone would say that's a yes man when, like you're saying, they probably don't have anyone that genuinely cared or they haven't cared or been in an environment like that where it's like, I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I guess for me, like I want to be that guy. Hey, where's the water? Got you. I
Yeah.
want to be that guy. So it's just kind of interesting how that um unique and cool, I don't know quite the word, but yeah, I took it upon myself. I wanted to be that guy, and it sounds like you're kind of in the similar situation where like I want them to know that they can depend on me and then I'm
Hmm.
going to deliver and be there for them.
Yeah. And I also think there's other thing that I will say that I think that I'm when you talk about like I'm a person like that's good to be around. The coaches recognize that too, because like when somebody like has to get back to the hotel and like they have to get their weight off, and the coaches will be like, "Oh, that's your guy." Like teamer, that's my guy. So like a team like Ironman, that's my guy. But even someone who's not my guy, like when DeSanto had to get back to the hotel during nationals, Terry was like, "Hey, go with him, go with him. Like we can count on you. We can trust you. We know that if you go with him, it's gonna get done. And you're not the type of person who isn't gonna get along with him. I'm not gonna irritate him when he's got to get his weight down. Like I'm gonna make sure, and I hold guys accountable. Where it's like, hey man, like come on, get your stuff on. You gotta get your sweats on. Let's get down to the treadmill. Or if someone's like, hey, I need to wrestle. Like there's nobody here. I wrestled team in. I borrowed someone's sweatpants and threw on someone's wrestling shoes and wrestled him in my polo because that's what he needed to do to get his weight down at the time. S- That's not to me. That's not being a yes man. I'm not gonna let my boy go out there just unprepared. It's not good of you as a teammate. It's not.
Mhm. Yeah, dang. How impressive does it say, or what's it, how impressive is it that, excuse me, that your teammates even also respect you? That when you're trying to hold them accountable, they don't look at you and go, man, what do you know? Like,
Yeah,
you haven't been here. You're not doing this. That they will look at you and go, you're right. Let's do it. Like
yeah.
that says a lot too, man.
That's that genuine thing. They know that I'm not yelling at them. I'm not barking at them out of like malice or just trying to check the boxes. They know that I'm
Right.
telling them, hey, like you. I know that because I know just as much as them what has to be done.
Right.
I'm like, I know that this is what you need to do. I'm like, I'm not a stranger from the outside, some random that they picked out of the crowd. It's like, dude, like I know what you have to do. Like, I know, and if it's a loss, if they're coming from a loss, hey, I know that sucks. That hurts really, really bad. I know that
Right.
does. This is not where you want to be at, right? You wanted to be cutting weight an hour from now, or you should have been cutting weight 2 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
Said we have that extra match, and now we got to go back. But hey, let's get it done. It's not gonna feel great right now, but hey, you get a chance to right the wrong tomorrow. Come on, let's get moving. And a lot of times, and I always hear you're right. Come on, my
Mm-hmm.
brother. That's
You're damn right I'm right.
yeah. I know I'm right. I know I'm right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I know that I'm right. It's just really important on you getting that.
Yeah.
Once you get that, then it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Once you know that I'm right,
yeah,
we're good.
yeah. And I'll even sit with them. Like I'll sit on a bench. Someone needs to run on the treadmill. I'll sit there with them, and I'll wait. It's like, all right, I need to go upstairs. I need to get on the airdyne. Cool. Come on, let's go. And I'll sit there and I'll watch YouTube with the timer. You know, it's not a big deal to me.